Hi class, this is my video reflection for week 7.5. To start out, we're going to talk about tolerance. With my previous experience volunteering with the Johnson County Crisis Center, I learned that there are a lot of people with a lot of issues that you can't understand, and that judgment does become a very real thing. You might think, wow, this person has a lot of problems, and they're different. Well, I'm just here to say that you definitely cannot get stuck on these little differences that you have with your client, with the person that you're talking to. It's very troublesome dealing with tolerance sometimes because some people grew up very different than you as a case manager, as a client, depending on which side you're looking from. And taking a multicultural perspective really does enhance what you can do with the client, knowing the differences between your cultures, knowing the similarities, and finding where you can meet in the middle so that you can be tolerant of them and understanding of their differences. Course outcomes. Define and describe the historical processes and perspectives of case management and counseling and how it has evolved in human service delivery. Well, for me, suffering from a mental illness is very tough. And if I were to be born, well, I'm not very good at math. If I was dealing with my mental illness in the 1960s, I would have been institutionalized. Like what's the name of the movie? I'm not going to count this as my time. I'm really sorry. I really want to get this point out. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Thank you. Okay, so learning from that experience that those people had in that movie, not that it was real, I saw that institutionalization is a very tough situation to deal with. And now people are considered to be the customer, and they are considered to be people who can really be a part of their getting better, which is very important. Another one, recognize and analyze and discuss counselor-client characteristics and the role of professionalism in identifying current legal and ethical issues in the field of counseling. Basically, confidentiality is the number one thing that I learned from my experience at the Crisis Center. Knowing when you can allow a family member to make a decision for someone who is incapacitated, can't make decisions on their own. Those are the two big things that I remember from the chapters that I read in our book. And I'll go with one more. Describe and demonstrate the beginning proficiency in developing a plan for client services. The very beginning part of any situation where you're dealing with a client is getting to know them, and also really getting to know their history as well, because a lot of times people did maybe a third of the work for you. And I know that it probably didn't work out with them, seeing as they're still seeking services, but knowing where the client has come from is a very big deal. I don't have much time, so I better, move on to the next thing. Communication is something that I find to be very important in case management and counseling through my experience, and really listening. Listening is more than half the battle. Really understanding what they're saying and getting them to say what they really may not see as truthful about themselves, but what is. And knowing when they might be trying to make themselves look different than what they actually are. And another one, attitude. Go at it with the best attitude possible. Be positive. Advocate for the client. Really think for them. Anyway, that's about as much time as I have. I'm sorry that I went over my time, but I felt like I needed to say what needed to be said. And I wish you all the best.